Challenge, not successful. Grzycki goes on. He tries to put it into the path of Bowen. Tees it up for Callum Elder to swing in. It's Bowler's touch, and Bowler finds the net. First goal in a black and amber shirt for Josh Bowler.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of The Tigers Down Under. I'm your host Alex, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by Callum Elder. Welcome, Callum. Thank you for joining me.
No worries, mate. Good to chat to you.
I wanted to begin with your move to England. You left Sydney as a 16-year-old, having played some junior football with Manly United, but how daunting was it for you to move across to the other side of the world and to join Leicester's academy? Was it did you see it as a sort of a big gamble, or was it more of a really exciting opportunity?
Well, it's always going to be daunting leaving your home at 16 years old. But it was definitely, I seen it more as an opportunity. You know, it was something that I always wanted to do from a young age. So to be given that opportunity to go over and try and forge a career for myself in Europe, it was something I'd wanted for a while. So when it came up, I was really eager to take it with both hands. So, you know, I feel like your biggest life decisions you can't look back on, and that's what I did.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was obviously a great move for you because you then were able to sign your first professional contract with Leicester, and you went out on a couple of loans after that, beginning with, I think it was Mansfield in League Two and then Brentford in League One. How did you find that progression of those loan spells going, successively sort of higher divisions? Were you kind of comfortable taking that step up in quality each year?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're the best things to do, to expose yourself to men's football as young as possible. You develop your game, you see what standards required in each league, and you grow up quick. You're dealing with men from a young age that have got families and mortgages, and the higher you go up, you realise the pressures that you're under as a footballer. But I really enjoyed the loan spells. They're very beneficial for me and my development. But moving to Hull, was probably the best thing for me because it came at a time when I needed to sort of have a base and a platform in my career, and I'm really glad the way it's going so far.
And with that move to Hull, obviously with Jackson at the club as well, was there that? Did you chat to Jackson before signing for the club with that Australian connection there?
No, I didn't. I think I only met Jackson just briefly when we played against each other a couple of seasons ago when he was at Burton. So I didn't know Jackson personally, but obviously being here, we're with each other every day. So, it was good to chat to him and sort of have common ground as a fellow Australian.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I'm enjoying playing with him as a player and spending time with him as a mate as well. So, it's good to have another Australian at the football club.
Yeah, it's always interesting, I find, when there's foreign players at a club. I know a couple of seasons ago when we had Abel Hernandez, who didn't speak a whole lot of English, but another player, Mo Diami, who could also speak Spanish to him. So I feel like when there's players either from the same sort of part of the world, it does sort of really help you settle into the club a little bit quicker.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair, most dressing rooms these days are so multicultural.
Mm.
You get lads from a lot of different countries, but I wouldn't even say it from a settling in type. It's just nice to have someone that sort of knows the running of your own home country, and you joke about different things and things that happen back home that maybe European people aren't exposed to. So it's good to chat to Jackson about different things.
And just again on your spell at Leicester, I guess it was quite a an unexpected experience in a sense when I think you were out on loan at Peterborough and then you were injured partway through the season, but came back to Leicester and that was actually the season where Leicester won the Premier League. So did you have much of a sense of involvement that season or much of a connection to that success, or were you sort of looking at it from the outside in a way?
Well, yeah, it was funny really because I was on loan at Peterborough and enjoying my spell there, but unfortunately, I suffered a foot injury that required surgery, so I returned to Leicester for my rehab, and from January onwards, I got to see, the run into Leicester winning the Premier League. So, that was an experience in itself. I
Yeah.
obviously wasn't involved from a playing perspective, but the whole club was really sort of came together to sort of to see it through, and it was a great time for the football club.
Yeah, I can imagine it would have been a pretty unreal experience when you sort of think, with no disrespect to Leicester, they're a reasonably small club in the scheme of things. When you've got your Man Cities, your Arsenals, and what have you, all going for the title, to come away with the title that season would have been pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny really because when you sort of see the insides of how the season panned out, it obviously it was a shock that Leicester won the league, but the way they went about it wasn't a shock from the inside because no one got ahead of themselves. They just continually repeated the winning formula that it allowed them to achieve so much success in the matches. So, that it was one of them seasons, but within that season, albeit they didn't finish with the highest points tally for most champions, they were the best that season. So, they deserved to win the league. So, there's so many big clubs in that division, but that season Leicester were the best in the division, so they were deserved winners.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then, as you touched on before, you cut ties with Leicester and joined Hull in the summer a couple of months ago. What were your first impressions of the club and of Grant McCann as manager? What really sort of struck you about him?
Well, I've worked with Grant before during my loan spell at Peterborough, so I obviously knew what he was like as a manager, so that was sort of a big factor that was hoping that I could get the deal done and come and work with him again because I enjoyed my time at Peterborough. I mean, the club's brilliant, it speaks for itself. It's not long out of the Premier League. It's got great facilities, and the squad the manager's put together and his staff, we're ambitious, we know the levels we can get. We've put in some big performances this season. The championship's all about consistency and ticking games off and continue the sort of form that we've hit this season. So it's a good time at the club, but there's a lot of hard work to be done, and I'm really happy that I'm here now and a part of it.
And you sort of said before, when it came to Leicester winning the league, it's hitting on that winning formula and then just repeating that week in, week out, getting that consistency. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, the championship just strikes me as that sort of division where it's almost whichever team can play their best football the most is likely to get promoted. And really, we've shown in the last couple of games that our best football is right up there with the top teams in the division. Is that sort of how the players are feeling, that really we can go out and on our day really just beat anyone?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure the championship's relentless. It's 46 games, and I fully believe that anyone that goes up from the division at the end of the season deserves to because, it's relentless. There's midweek games. We're playing our third game in 6 days tomorrow, so consistency is key. But I think I checked the table last night, and 3 of the top 6 we've beaten this season. So it's all about consistency, and I think that if we can continue to sort of lay our marker down in terms of the standards we can hit each week, then hopefully we can climb that table and break into those playoff places.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the sides in the top 6 that we've beaten. I think if we don't have the best, I think we've got one of the best records against the top 6, which is pretty crazy considering we're currently sitting ninth in the table. But a couple of points outside the top 6, and it can all turn around quite quickly. On a personal level, obviously started the season out of the side due to injuries and what have you, but you've really sort of made that left back spot your own. How important does it feel for you to be rather than out on loan at a club, to actually be at a club where you're playing your football and you're kind of cementing your spot in that first 11?
Yeah, it's true, and that was sort of like I said, it was one of the main reasons I wanted to come. I seen an opportunity there to come in and be part of something and work with a manager that I'd worked before with. So, I really wanted to sort of put my foot down and stamp my place in the squad. So, at the minute I'm doing that. Football can change quickly, but I need to make sure that I continue to hit the standards that I've set so far because I'm really enjoying it and we're playing well as a team, and I'm enjoying being part of that.
Yeah, definitely, and you're playing very well yourself as well, and to the point where I think it was just before the last international break, there was a few comments from Graham Arnold saying that he'd been keeping an eye on you, and there was the possibility of a call up to the national squad in the not too distant future. How significant would that be for you? What would that mean to you if you were to be able to pull on the green and gold for an international game?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be absolutely massive. I knew that to be called up to the national team, I would really have to be playing consistent football. And that was another reason that I wanted to come to Hull, because I thought if I could expose myself to consistent football in the Championship, that it would stand me in good stead to hopefully one day receive a call up to the national team, because that's definitely in the back of my mind. It's something I want to achieve, and hopefully I can be part of Graham's plans moving forward. So I know there was talk that I may be called up in the break just gone, but there's a lot of games now between now and the next call up in March. So I'll just be sort of working hard leading up to that and put my best foot forward to hopefully get that call up.
And so, sort of looking forward over the next stretch of games for Hull, we've got two of the bottom three coming up in our next couple of games. We sort of touched on it before, but what's sort of the mood of the squad at the moment? Is it really quite optimistic? I guess to start the season, it was a little bit slow with a few of the players maybe taking some time to gel and find their form, but it looks like everyone's really hitting their stride now, and it must just be, everyone just I guess there is the cliches of you taking it one game at a time, but there must be a sense of being able to look up the table rather than down it.
Um, yeah, I mean it's easy to say that when you're in a good run of form, but um, I feel like the team's just really positive with each other. And I think positivity and confidence comes from actually physically producing results, which is what we've done. So we're just looking to build on the performances that we have done in recent weeks. I feel like we've laid a bit of a platform for ourselves now, and we know what we can achieve against some of the top sides in the division. And going into tomorrow's game, um, it's certainly not going to be easy. No game's easy in the division for different reasons. Some are fighting for promotion, and some are trying to get out of the bottom three, which is what Barnsley are doing tomorrow. But it certainly won't be an easy game. They'll carry threat. They're not in it. They're not. They're in the division for a reason. They had a great season last year in League One. But we know that going into the game, we're confident that the threats we pose can cause them problems.
And I guess one of our most threatening players at the moment is Jared Bowen, who's just in unbelievable form. And I've got to ask you, what is it like playing alongside him? It must be such a confidence boost knowing you've got a player like that in the side. And there's other players as well. Kamil Grzycki as well. He's in fantastic form as well. It must be such a confidence boost to have those sorts of guys in the side who they just need a moment and they can find the back of the net.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the form that Jared's in now, it's a joy to be a teammate, because um, you when someone's in form like that, you literally just want to give them the ball, because you know he's producing week in, week out, not just with his general play, but he's finishing goals. And he's not the only threat that we pose in the team. I think going forward we attack with a really high tempo and energy. So I think it's all about just playing to our strengths and maximising the ability that our front players do have.
And just the last one before I let you go. Off the field, there's been a lot of really positive moves to change the pricing on the ticketing and all that sort of thing. Is it a sense with the team that, if we get those sorts of crowds and that feel-good factor as well, that off the field push can also really help support the team on the field?
Yeah, I think at any football club, it's a collective effort. We want to see as many fans there as possible, and hopefully we can consistently put performances in like we did on Wednesday night against Preston. Fans are obviously the heartbeat of the football club, so we want to see as many of them as we can, because if we are going to achieve success in the division, that it's going to be everyone, not just the lads.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're loving watching you guys play at the moment. You're in some terrific form, and long may it continue, and hopefully we can keep pushing up the table. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today, Callum.
No worries.
No worries, thanks. And thank you everyone for listening into this special edition of the Tigers Down Under with Callum Elder, Hull City defender, potential Socceroos defender in the future. And until next time, come on City. You've been listening to the official Hull City Australia podcast. For more discussion, join us on Facebook in the Hull City AFC Australian Supporters Group, or follow us on Twitter at Hull City AFC Oz. The music was created by Amber and Black.
City's on fire. We're going higher and higher. There's no turning back 'cause you're out.